Now, Shankar Mishra, the businessman who exposed himself in front of an elderly woman and urinated on her, still continues to be a free man, despite the fact that the DJCA has issued a show-cause notice to the airline calling the airline's crew unprofessional. No action has been taken as of now. So even as we await action, we want to now talk to you about the most important questions. What are the protocols that a passenger should know in case of an unfortunate event that happens, and what should have been the steps that should have been followed by the airline? In this particular case, it's Air India. So just as far as the airline is concerned, if I just begin by talking to you about what Air India itself says and how they describe an unruly passenger on their website, this is what it says. And I'm quoting, a passenger or passengers or group of passengers with the potential to behave in a disorderly manner. The passenger could be apparently drunk or even under the influence of drugs or alcohol to the extent of physical incompetence. Or an unruly passenger is also one that engages in disorderly or offensive conduct to the discomfort or distress of other passengers and even flight attendants, and someone who fails to adhere to instructions by crew as well as ground personnel. So the first question is, did Shankar Mishra, according to Air India and their own rules, not qualify as an unruly passenger? The second big question, what should have the airline done? Now, if you go back to what we saw in 2017, remember the government, the DGCA, came up with a set of rules in 2017 to prevent disruptive behavior by flyers on board planes and release the guidelines by a no-fly list. And as I said, this is as far as the DGCA's requirements of the CAR guidelines are concerned. Now, they further go on to say, and they declare an unruly disruptive behavior on board or on aircraft as a punishable offense, stating one aggressive passenger can jeopardize the safety of others on board as well. So what should have the airline been done? Let me quickly walk you through the protocol as well. The crew on board first raises a red flag, and the first step is to inform the pilot. Then the crew speaks to the unruly passenger in question, gives him or her a warning. Then on arrival, the pilot in command needs to file a complaint to the Committee of Unruly Behavior. Now, this committee will incorporate a retired district and sessions judge as a chairman, as well as a representative from a different airline and representative of passengers as well. Then, on arrival, the said passenger should be handed over to the ground authorities. As per the guidelines of the DGCA, post the filing of the complaint, the internal committee which has been formed has to decide, and the time period for them is 30 days. Even during the pendency of the inquiry, the airline has an option that they can go forward and ban the passenger. And if the passenger repeats the offense, then the punishment can be doubled as well. Now, with this becoming an increasing problem, airline staff are also now being encouraged to be more vigilant at the airport to spot any potential problem or passenger through various stages as far as the check-in process is concerned. So at check-in, at security, and at the boarding gate as well. What are these red flags? If a passenger is very drunk prior to the flight, they can deny the particular passenger boarding. The airline staff should also use teamwork and communication to remain vigilant. They should also mitigate the risk and try and stop a problem before it starts. Then, once on board the aircraft, the flight attendants monitor the passengers during boarding for any signs of aggression or threatening behavior. Now, they're always on the lookout at anything suspicious or unusual, because it is at this stage, if a passenger becomes unruly, they can be offloaded and then handed over to security. Once the aircraft is in flight mode, things can get complicated. That's the worry. If a passenger is suspected of becoming disruptive, the flight attendants can limit the alcohol given to the passenger as well. If the passenger becomes aggressive, the flight attendant will try and diffuse the situation by talking to the passenger, offering some other alternatives, and also already alerting the pilot as well. Remember, this is important. Flight attendants are trained in being able to spot potentially disruptive passengers and in security, conflict management, self-defense, among many other things. If the situation still worsens, a flight attendant then has to intervene and give a warning to the passenger. At the same time, you'll have another flight attendant who will be notifying the senior crew members of the developing situation as well. The level of threat that needs to be determined, and then possibly a diversion of the flight is also a possibility. Now, the other big question is, what will land an unruly passenger on a no-fly list? Let's go back to what the DGCA says. As per the DGCA, a list of unruly behavior includes consuming alcohol or even drugs, which may result in disruption, smoking in the aircraft, that is also categorized as far as the rules are concerned, using threatening or abusive language towards a member of the crew or other passengers, intentionally interfering with the performance of a crew member duties, and so on. The nature of the unruly acts which will decide the period of the ban have also now been classified. Let's break down those details. The levels are level 1, 2 and 3. Let's first talk to you about level 1. Level 1 includes behaviors such as physical gestures, verbal harassment, unruly drunk passenger. This can lead to a ban of up to 3 months. Physically abusive behavior like pushing, kicking, hitting, grabbing, or inappropriate touching or sexual harassment constitutes level 2, which will attract a debarment of up to 6 months. Then level 3 comprises of life-threatening behavior such as damage to the aircraft itself or to the aircraft operating system, physical violence such as choking, eye gouging, murderous assault and others. All of these are in level 3. In such a scenario, the ban can range from a minimum of 2 years or more to an indefinite period as well. The other important crucial bit of this entire story is, this is what the airline should have done. What are the options as far as the passenger is concerned? The passenger, of course, has to get the biggest help from the crew of that particular flight and the airline. Post that, the passenger can file a complaint with the airline. They can write to the DGCA and the ministry as well.